hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Trying to play DJ over here as well. So tell me how.
You gotta get your game up during the quarantine.
Man, let me tell you.
DJ,
Let me tell you.
run a business, run the house, take care of the family.
Everything. How's your day going?
Do it all. It's going great. It's going great. Just finished a nice run to get my mind right.
That's good. I ran too.
Nice.
Except not like you though. How much did you run, Kai?
I don't know, like 4 miles, something just like 4
Oh
miles.
yeah, just like 4
Like
miles.
I listen to 5 songs and that's it.
I was struggling with one, but I still got one in this evening. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Someone,
There you
like
go.
you said, DJ and CEO Pavone. Tell us where you're logging in from, what your role is. So here's the deal. Every live ed chat, moving forward, if I can get my DJ skills together,
There you
we're
go.
going to play the speaker's hype song. And there's going to be an icebreaker question pinned down. So today's icebreaker is give your mentor a shout out and drop one of their quotes. All right? Give your mentor a shout out. We're going to wait and give a little bit more time for some people to join us. And let's see who's in here, Kai. You know any of these people? I see Ann. Hi, Ann.
Oh, yeah. I see people rolling in. My Georgetown family. Who's that? Dana. I see my KIPP family, my people, Legend Academy. Hey, my immediate family's up in here.
That is
We're going to have
awesome.
a party, y'all.
I see a lot of Jersey people in
Maxine
here.
Clark. There's my mommy. Hey, mommy.
Hey, Ma.
There you go.
That is awesome. Parkside Principal of Forest Hill. Welcome. Tampa, Florida, checking in.
Boa noite. Tem meus amigos de brasileiro aqui também.
Oh, Brazil
Oi,
in the
cara.
house. Come on now.
We got Brazil, Colombia. Woo! We doing it, Jersey.
That is awesome. Okay, so if you can, the icebreaker for today, Kai wanted us all to give your mentor a shout out and drop one of their quotes.
Drop one of their quotes. Oh, look at that. Philly's in here. I see Philly. Yes.
New York in the house. So who's your mentor?
Tag your mentor. Drop their name. Drop a quote. Something that just sits with you, resides with you. Drop one of their quotes in here so we all can learn from each other tonight.
Hey.
We want to learn from your mentors. Let's go.
That's right. That's right. Kai, who's your mentor?
So, man, I've been blessed to have so many. That is like the blessing that I wanted to share with everybody. And, starting from my family, my mom, like she's on here, who was one of my obviously first mentors, my brothers, my sisters, just my immediate family. But, when I started thinking about, the time that we're in right now and just thinking about, how I get to work, how I get going all the time. One of the things I do is I turn to like books and music, right?
Yeah.
So you can learn so much through books and music. And so I was, blessed to have a mentor who some of you might know, and they call him Common Sense. He changed his name to Common. And it was interesting because he was my mentor as a kid. Obviously, I didn't know him, but I listened to so much of his music. I was just learning about life and learning about how to get through and how to, get through the struggle and love and peace and loving yourself. And then go have it when I was doing my Fisher Fellowship with KIPP. Guess who was my professor?
Who?
Common's mom.
What?
So she came in and did a guest lecture. And I'm sitting there like, I know this lady from somewhere. And I was remembering the album cover, One Day It'll All Make Sense. And I was like, oh, that's Common's mom.
Oh, my gosh.
We've been like that ever since.
So she's a professor.
She was one of my professors. With KIPP brought her in to do a talk on pedagogy of the oppressed.
Ooh.
A lot of you probably know Richard Stradane. Richard Stradane, he brought her in, and we talked about, pedagogy of the oppressed. And I was like, look, we got to talk because my best friend and I got a rental car when we were 18 years old and drove from Philly to Chicago, listening to Common's albums, and just drove to everywhere he talked about.
Wow.
Now, I know my mom is on here, and Mom, I'm sorry, you got to wait till I'm 45 to figure this out. We were not hanging out downtown. We were in Chicago. We drove 10 hours.
Mom, did you know that? I don't know who she
and we
is,
just
Mom.
listened to his music, right? And we drove around Chicago, and we learned the history, and we learned about Chicago that way. So, you know, my message to everybody is like, you don't have to know all your mentors, right? You can pick up a book and get deeply engaged with somebody and learn from them and not be somebody that you actually know. You know, come to find out, because of my, you know, passion for comedy and hip hop, I meet his mom one day, and then boom, she calls me, and we were sitting there, and I was telling her the story, and she was like, I gotta call Rashid right now. And she calls him and tells him the story, and she's like, meet your brother. This is your brother. And he's like, okay, I guess that's your brother. So ever since then, that was 2004, and we've been tight, and, you know, I can pick up the phone and call her anytime, and we just go back and forth about life. We go back and forth. She was a principal. If people don't know, Mahalia Hines, Dr. Mahalia Hines has been a big education leader in Chicago for many, many years. I visited her school. She was on the school board in Chicago. And so she was a, you know, exceptional principal. So when I was starting my school, I'm like, okay, let me call somebody that knows how to do it.
Wow. You all, that is amazing. So you all heard it from the man himself. Common's mom is his mentor, and Common, according to his mom, is his brother. All right, y'all. So
that's what she said, right?
That's what she said, right?
But yeah, he's been a great person, and we've talked on various occasions. And what I appreciate about him is his passion. Anytime you listen to a Common album, a song, you feel it, right? You can feel what he's feeling. And so, you know, as a leader, that's what I always wanted to convey, right? When I opened up my school, when I talk with children and families, I want them to feel that, you know, we're in this together. And when you listen to his music, you're like, damn, I'm in Chicago. I'm feeling it.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, those are two of my mentors. I could name a bunch of others.
Wow. There's a few people in here who also answered Ky. Someone said Ky is one of my mentors. He has a lot of quotes.
Oh.
Pedagogy of the Oppressed, one of my favorite books. There was someone here who said, at the Maverick Coach, my favorite quote from my mentor is 99 is always better than 100.
That's an interesting one. I want to learn more about that.
Yeah, me too.
Who said that? Who said that? Somebody I know?
It was Strike Fast at the Maverick Coach. The Maverick Coach is the mentor.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully we can look at this again. I want to download all this information from you guys, because I learn from everybody.
That's right.
You know, that's what life's about. And so I want to connect with all you, and I want to learn from all of you. You know, I'll share what I have to share, you know, but
that's right. The whole purpose of Live at Chats is literally for us, not just nationally, but globally, to come together as an educational community, and just keep it real, right? Like, what is happening in education right now? What are the successes that we're seeing? What are the challenges that we're experiencing? What are some key, just small bite-sized things that we should be thinking about right now that we could take away with us? Because the reality is that we learn best from experiences. Then that's right. And so people from, the last 6 weeks, we started to do this. We saw a need in our community, and folks have been just saying, hands down, this is so helpful for them. So we're just continuing this. Ky, why don't you start us off? I know you already talked a little bit about your mentor, which is Common's mom. What is her name again?
Dr. Mahalia Hines.
Dr. Mahalia Hines.
And her quote that sticks with me, and this is her favorite quote, is, you know, be blessed, right? Like, wake up and just feel the blessings that you have all around you. Be blessed. And then as soon as you're finished feeling it for yourself, go be a blessing to somebody else.
Woo, come on.
Like, that's it. And so, you know, you wake up and you're like, you look around, you're thankful for your family, your peoples, you know, everything, life. And then you're like, all right, how can I bless somebody else? So I've always been appreciative that my mentors literally if I call or text, it's instantaneous, right? They're hitting me back like that. And so having people like that in your life,
yeah,
there's no replacement for that. So I appreciate
absolutely.
her and everybody else who's mentored me, along the way.
So Ky, talk to us a little bit about, and you started to talk a little bit about this when you started your school. Tell us a little bit about your background, just so we know, for those of you that don't know you, Ky Adderley is a legend, you all. So if you don't know, you're gonna know tonight. Tell us a little bit about your career, your story, because when we tell our stories, we open up spaces for other people to tell their stories, right? And it blesses others. So go ahead.
Yeah. And I want people to keep dropping their mentors and their quotes in there.
Yes, please do.
Like, we want a transcript of all this, right?
That's right.
I don't know. We're going to make a ebook or something of everybody's.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm blessed, again, to have people from all walks of life. I'm from Philadelphia, the Super Bowl champions. A couple years ago.
Rubbing it in our faces over here.
It was a couple of years ago, but we don't care. We won the Super Bowl,
some
right?
People still sore from that.
Super Bowl champion, Eagles, Philadelphia. I grew up here. I was a student athlete, and I got a scholarship, went to Georgetown University. I know there's a bunch of Georgetown people in here checking in.
Okay.
So a lot of the life lessons that I learned obviously came from my coaches, right? So I've had great coaches, Frank Gagliano, Derek Thompson, Coach Reed around the way. These are Olympic, world-renowned men, right?
Wow.
Who not only taught me how to be a great athlete, but taught me what it was like to be a great person and a great man.
Yeah.
So I got to give a shout out to them. So I went down to Georgetown back in '94. I'm a little old head,
we won't judge you.
Right. One of my claims to fame when I first started teaching, I told the kids I went to Georgetown and that, Allen Iverson, we entered the same year. We were the same class. So then all of a sudden I became the most popular teacher. So you got to use your resources, everybody.
Right. That's right. You better.
Got to use your resources, right? So, Allen, that was a crazy, fun time at Georgetown. I see my Georgetown people shouting me out in there.
Hey, Georgetown.
Maxine, what's up, y'all?
Oh, yeah.
So, anyway, after I graduated, I was an Olympic hopeful. I was trying to make the Olympic, track and field team. Didn't happen. But, I kept pressing on. And one of my good friends said, you know what, you'd be a great teacher. And I was like, teacher? Get out of here. I don't want to be a teacher. What are you talking about? I'm trying to make that money,
Make that money.
She was like, look, I'm telling you, you should teach. And after selling cars for a little bit and not knowing what the heck I was going to do.
Oh, wow.
She was like, well, the deadline for Teach for America is tomorrow. You should join. And I stayed up all night, did the application for Teach for America, got into Teach for America, begged Wendy Kopp.
Any other TFAers, by the way?
Where the TFAers? I know there's some TFAers in here for sure.
Oh, wait, right here.
Oh, wait. There you go.
Yeah.
I saw. I can't keep up with the thread that much.
I
definitely saw some TFA people. I saw Dana up in here. It's definitely people in here. But anyway, so I joined Teach for America. And I got placed in DC because I was like, I told Wendy Kopp, shout out to Wendy Kopp. I was like, look, Wendy, I'm not going to Mississippi. They wanted me to go to Mississippi. I was like, I'm from Philly. I know there's a Philadelphia, Mississippi, but I'm not going.
They said the same thing. TFA repping New York 14 in the house.
There you go. TFA should be big up in here. Come on, we all over.
Right.
So anyway, I went and did my summer institute in New York. So I'm in the South Bronx, Hunts Point. First day, I go in. I got my lesson plan ready. I'm like about to kill this. I'm an athlete. Like, we win. That's what we do.
Right.
I go in. I got fourth graders. There's like 22 fourth graders. I'm like, bam, bam. I got my little lesson plan. Like, let's get it. Go in. My mentor teacher's in the back. I go through my lesson in about 8 minutes. And I'm standing there, and I look at her, and I'm like, well, now what?
What do we do?
She's like, well, you got 30 minutes to go. And I was like, just shell-shocked, right? I had planned. I was ready. I thought I was, going to knock this out the park. I just failed miserably. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, these little kids are looking at me like, Mr. Adderley, what are you gonna do? I'm like, let me tell you. So I made it through the class. What's your name? Where you from? What's your favorite color? Like,
right.
I made it through the class. I get back to the TFA dorms, and I was like, yo, this teaching stuff is hard, right? I'm like, this is
Let
hard.
me just name that you said the TFA dorm. So if you've been in TFA, then you know we go back to dorms when we're training in the summertime.
We in the summertime. We were in dorms in SUNY Maritime in the Bronx.
Hi, Shay.
Is the Bronx in here? Somebody in the Bronx is in here.
So, Shay, I think Shay works in the Bronx. I think.
There you go. So I'm out there like talking to my mentor, and she's like, bruh, this is what it is. I was like, every day? And she was like, every day. Like hours a day. You need to plan. And I was like, oh my gosh, right? And again, I go back to my athlete background. I'm not trying to lose, right? So I'm in the institute like banging this out. But I fell in love with that opportunity to be the force for somebody, right? Those fourth graders were looking at me like, that's all you got, bro?
What else you got?
Like, that's it? And so I'm
maybe looking at you like that, like, bro, this is what we got today?
What's up, Ash? I see you, BX Proud. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, my God. Like, it's not like you have a job to wash a car or to, like, pack a bag. You're, like, teaching children. So if you mess that up, you're messing up a person. Right? You don't mess up the like paint job. You don't mess up the wax on the car. You're messing up a person.
Yeah.
Like a human. And so I fell in love literally with the awesomeness of the like responsibility. I was like, this is like a major job. And I wanted to be major. I was 25 years old. Who doesn't want to be major at 25?
That's right.
So I dug down. I went, taught in DC public schools, 6th grade classroom. I had kids from Central America, didn't speak English, in my classroom. Like, you just had to make it work. And I was like, you learn very early that you just need to make it happen.
That's right. When
you're a teacher, first year, nobody's coming to save you.
Nope.
Nobody's coming to save you. Principal would walk by with her little checklist. All the kids were in class and sitting down, so she kept going. That was it. That was my observation back then.
Wow.
And so it was like, I didn't get feedback. I'm an athlete again. I'm like, give me feedback. Like, tell me what I'm doing. Like, man, they were like, the kids are here. Check. And kept on moving. So, high expectation has always been part of my life from my family upbringing and just from being, again, an athlete. So I was like, well, we got to do more. We got to do more. And I was right down the street from Howard University. I went to Georgetown, right? I'm in DC. So I called on those communities and I started a mentorship program and created a mentorship program where every single kid in the school from 4th grade to 6th grade had a mentor from Howard University or Georgetown that came in the classroom.
Put some love in the comments for that.
Well, that was it, right? Because it's all about mentorship. And it was also about me not dying in that classroom every day. I'm in the classroom like, yo, I can't do it, and I'm like, I just need help. So I took a couple of cute kids, or I thought were cute, right? Took them down to Howard. We put up a little sign and was like, will you be my mentor? And look, after a couple of weeks, I had 110 college students come into our school once a week to sit with the kids and just talk. And right there, I realized that it was about relationships. It was about mentorships, right? And, curriculum and all that is important, of course. We got to have great curriculum. But if these children can't connect.
If they can't see, if you can't see them as people first.
If you can't see them as people and they have nothing to connect to, you can forget about it.
Yeah.
You can forget about it. So anyway, KIPP was doing a walkthrough of our building because they were going to acquire the building to start a KIPP school. And somebody recognized what I was doing in my classroom. And that's when KIPP started recruiting me. And so KIPP recruited me. I was in my 4th year teaching.
And this is like, by the way, old school KIPP. Like,
this is old school KIPP, yo. Let me tell you this. The person who walked up in the room was the superintendent of DC Public School, of DC KIPP. She walks in. She checks me out. She's eyeing what I'm doing. She walks up, hands me a business card, and was like, if you want to get better, hit me up.
Oh!
And I was like, hold up. I'm the truth. What are you talking about?
Right.
but I was like intrigued. So, you know, I looked up, I was like, what's this KIPP thing? So I looked up KIPP. Anyway, you all know the story. I went through the selection process, and I was one of the first founders in the KIPP school network. So KIPP started expanding in year 2000. I was in the 2004 class of KIPP school, Fisher Fellows, and we spent a year planning a school.
Were you the first Black male?
I wasn't the first Black male. There was a couple of others. There was a couple others. Okay. It was, but I know it was few. It was very few. And I mean, talking about like 3 or 4. It was Tracy McDaniels, and a couple of them that opened had closed by that point.
Wow.
Right? Within 2 or 3 years, they had closed. But Tracy McDaniels was one of the big KIPP leaders at that time. Miller House, happy birthday. His birthday was yesterday. That's my man.
Happy birthday.
He joined the fellowship with me.
But I was very old school KIPP.
Listen, look, I was 28, 29 years old, right? So even though there were other Black men that had done this, just a few, I was definitely the young boy in the room, right? I was 28, 29, taught for 4 years, and they're like, okay, open a school. Yeah. So I was and when I got to KIPP, what I loved about KIPP at that time was I met Allison Rouse, I met Terrence Johnson, and I saw these Black men, right, in leadership positions, and I was like, hold up. I haven't seen that before. You know, like I haven't seen mentors that look like me, talk like me, walk like me, can talk about sports and, an inner city experience. I grew up in Philly, Germantown, Mount Airy. So, like, it was really huge for me to walk in and see Daryl Cobb, right, dressed and like the C's and the superintendent and the CEO of KIPP introduce him like, this is the man. You need to learn from him. And I'm like, oh, word. Okay, I want to get down with this. Yeah. So anyway, I founded the first KIPP school in Brooklyn, KIPP AMP. I know there's some KIPP AMP people in here. So
hey, KIPP AMP.
Get in the comments. I got students now that were students of mine at KIPP AMP that are teachers now. So anyway, I opened up the first KIPP school in Brooklyn. And if you want to hear that story, we can talk about that a whole another time. But so we opened up in 2005, a 5 through 8 school, ran that school. As you mentioned in your lead up to this talk tonight, Capoeira was our version of physical education. We did, if you look in the back, there's my Capoeira drums.
So for those people that don't know, please tell us what Capoeira is.
Capoeira is a Brazilian martial art, right? And I won't go into too much detail, but it's a martial art that came out of the enslaved people's resistance in Brazil. So all the enslaved Africans came from Angola with this art form of martial arts. I see D. Clay up in here. What's up, Damian Clay? He was our counselor at KIPP AMP.
Wow,
he's down in
amazing. Welcome.
Yeah, he's down in like Tampa now. But anyway, so Capoeira, what was a martial arts that the enslaved people disguised as a dance, right? They disguised it as a dance because what are the slave masters, right, going to do when they see a bunch of enslaved people training martial arts? They banned it. They said you can't do it. There's no way you can do martial arts because they were revolting. So they disguised this martial art as a dance. And so you see the instruments behind me. Those are some Capoeira instruments. And if you look at Capoeira, the movements, a lot of it's dancing, but there's a lot of strikes in there that come out. So I met a person, Nicole Pantera. I don't know if she's on here, and Mestre Jalone. I see my boy Jefferson. That's my son, meu filho, in Brazil. Hola, amigo, tudo bem? So my Brazil people are in here, so they know about this art form that is really an art form. If we think about the freedom fighters from Chicago, right? Like, that's what Capoeira was. And so here I am starting a school.
You brought that to your school.
I brought it to Brooklyn Crown Heights, right? Where kids need to learn how to be. Right? So going back to my intro song, that's my song. Like, how do you be? Right? How do you be? Like, how can you be in your environment? And if you're growing up in Crown Heights, you better be a little bit tough. You better be a little bit street savvy. You better be aware of what's going on. And Capoeira teaches all of those things, right? And it teaches it in a way where you get away from danger. You never go towards danger. You get away from it. But if you have to confront it ever, You
you
ready?
can. Right.
You
Right.
ready? So all my children were learning capoeira, and they were transferring these lessons into math, into art, into music, into gym. They were transferring it into their curriculum. So what happens? Brazil, right? I got a couple of invitations from some people in Brazil who heard about what we were doing. They were following Teach for America. They were following KIPP, and then they hear about this KIPP school in Brooklyn that's using Brazilian culture to get great grades and transform urban community. And so I got an invitation from some great people in Brazil that were looking to transform education in Brazil. So in 2011, I moved down to Brazil full time and started a principals academy there and was training leaders on how to engage with their communities and how to make schools that are community schools and schools that are built on trust. And so I was in Brazil 2011 to 2016, right after the Olympics. I see my sister up in there. What's up, Rhea? And so I was in Brazil for quite a bit of time, and somewhere during that time, people said, "Oh, this is the education, international education consultant." And so I started working around the world in, Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Colombia, and throughout the Caribbean, working with leaders that were looking to start schools that had a community base. And what did I do? Called my mentors, yo. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. What am I going to do, right? Allison Rouse, shout out to Allison, took me to South Africa and showed me, so the ropes there. So, message to everybody, there's always somebody that came before you, and you need to lean on them and find out some lessons they learned to pave your path as well. So I moved back from Brazil in 2017, and make this long story short, one of my kids from Brooklyn, she was a college graduate. Her family moved to Philly, and she had a younger brother in a charter school in Philly, right? In the Philly area. And the mom calls me up and says, can you help us? Can you help us? We're in our second year. It's a different experience than what I had with you in New York with my older daughter. Can you help us? So I started coaching the CEO at Vision Academy out here in Lansdowne, PA. And Isaac, I don't know if he's on here, but shout out to Isaac. Isaac had a family emergency and he moved out of town, and the board said, hey, who's going to run the school? So here I am back in the trenches. I'm the CEO and principal of Vision Academy, all because of my relationships with my families. And Alameda Adams and her mother called me up and were like, my little brother, Victor, is at a school in Philly. Can you help out?
Wow. So, that's awesome. So Ky, all right. So here we are. And by the way, someone says shout out to South Africa. We see you. Brazil, play life. All right.
All that. Play life. That must be Tamires. Oi, to the bane, amiga.
So Ky, here we are in the middle of, pandemic, really well into the pandemic. There's a lot of unknowns still. A lot of ambiguity. Some schools have announced closure for the end of the year. Some schools have not yet announced closure for the end of this school year. Some are talking about potentially going back in January. So here we are, school leaders, right? The people that the community looks to for the answers. The people who are expected to keep our teachers together, to keep our students together, to keep our families well, to ensure that they're safe, that they have food, that they have that those Maslow's needs are right, that those are being addressed. What do you say to all of that?
So the first thing I say, and I'll go back to Dr. Mahalia Hines, right, Kyle's mom, is look at all the blessings, right? For those of us who are working and even thinking about what you're doing in your school buildings and what you could do for your communities means that you're healthy, right? You woke up this morning and nobody close to you or yourself was affected by this COVID-19. And so, I wake up every day and I'm just blessed. I got a 7-month-old in the house. My wife, my mother lives here with us, my daughter, Gisela, and my dog, Shango, who's in here. I check we're checking everybody. We're just checking to make sure we are good.
Yeah.
Right. And so I say to everybody, check on your people and make sure they're good. Forget about valuations, forget about standards, forget about grades, forget about any of that. Check on your school community. Make sure that your people are good. And the only, obviously, to check on them, you better check on yourself, right? Make sure now, I mean, what week is this for us? I don't even know. I can't keep count. This is like, I don't know. Is it May yet? I mean, this is week like 5, 6, 7, 8.
We're last week of April. Yep, we're going into May.
We're going into May, right? And like people are at home, people are not taking care of themselves, people are stressed out, you know, feeling nervous and anxious. You know, we have to deal with all those social emotional feelings that we all have. And you could be rich, you could be poor, you could have doctorates, you could have a GED. It doesn't matter. We're all feeling the same stuff. And so you got to check on people's feelings and see how they're doing. Like, what are they going through? What were they going through before this started?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
We got people who are going through family emergencies and crisis before any of this COVID, you know, coronavirus even came about. So, you have people who are dealing with mental and health and different issues. So check on your people. Check on your people. Call the ones you love. You know, and this has been a blessing to be able to be home, right? Because I get to check on my immediate people all day long. Right. And I get mad sometimes because I'm sitting in a Zoom meeting and I just want to like go upstairs and, you know, play with my daughter or, you know, go outside and run or something. But, you know, we have our responsibility as professionals, but it feels really good to be close to your people and check on them. So everybody, please check on your people.
That's resonating with people. Someone else said, yes, self-care and family connections are important. Kai, what are some specific examples you are using right now with your staff?
Right. So obviously we're having school still, right? So the first thing, you know, we told everybody was, look, our leadership team was like, engage. We want to engage. So how do we engage? We started using every platform, and the kids can probably tell you about the platforms better than you can, right?
Right.
We got on Instagram. We got on Facebook. We got on TikTok. We got on Dojo. We got on Google Classroom. We got on Zoom. We got on every platform we could, and we just started blasting out messages. Blasting them out. What did we do? The first week, we just had like a TikTok Tuesday, right? And the kids got on in there dancing. I'm like, okay, and the deans are counting, right? They're counting like, okay, this one's here, that one's here, this one's here. The teachers, you know, they're counting
looking for engagement. Keyword, engagement. Okay.
And so how do you, we're looking for engagement, but how do you engage? You want to have fun. Like who does not want to have fun? Right. That was one great thing I learned with KIPP. You know, motivation was big for us. And we knew that we would tackle the education standards and goals if we got kids to school. So during this time, all I cared about was that, you know, our kids were engaged. They had to be engaged. Now, I happen to be at a school where we have one-to-one technology even before coronavirus, right? So we believe in technology and blended learning. From kindergarten through 8th grade is a K-8 school. Kindergarten kids had iPads up to 8th graders. You know, 5th through 8th graders had Chromebooks. And so, you know, they were already used to technology, having that technology. They were used to technology. So what do? We pushed them to use it. And I challenge everybody to think of any family, and no matter how, you know, they may struggle in their situation, I bet you they have an iPhone. I bet you they have an Instagram account or a TikTok account or a Facebook account or some account where we can get in touch with them. What's that?
Where we can get to them.
We can get to them. And so that was our first priority, was get to them.
Yep.
And tell them the importance of why we're getting to them, you know. And then we started from there. We said, okay, now that we got to you guys, now let's start to slowly talk about, you know, what engagement looks like on an academic level.
You know, it makes me think that of like, you know, how, and you know, we're all figuring this out, right? So I think everyone's doing the best with what they have. But there are a lot of schools who said, hey, all right, you know, on starting Monday, right? As soon as all this happens, starting Monday, you're logging in at this time. You're expected to do all these, you know, different assignments, X, Y, Z. And I think a lot of people are now kind of like backpedaling and trying to like, oh God, we're like, our kids aren't engaging. The kids don't want to come. Parents don't want to engage.
They don't want to do it.
And now we're starting to think of, well, how do we support them socio-emotionally? How do we build community now when we should have been building it in the beginning.
But
it's not too late. What advice do you have for those people who are like, gosh, like I got to get to this engagement piece? What advice
right.
did you get that?
So the engagement piece, and shout out, because I got a couple of friends in here who are teachers who called me up. You know, I do mentor a lot of people, and one of my people is Miss Gonzalez. I know you're out there. She was like, yo, you know, she was like, I got some people in my class, you know, she got her lessons all like, you know, just, you know, whatever the principal said do, she did it, right? It was like boom, 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 boom. She had everything ready. And guess what? When she went to show up and go teach, how many kids showed up? There were no kids. So we were making all these plans.
Are like saying that's a struggle for a lot of teachers.
Right. They were making all these plans and there were no kids even there. Yeah. So I said, look, the first thing is go get the kids. So what we did is, what do kids care about? They care about fun. What do we care about? We want to have fun. So we did Spirit Week every week, right?
Nice.
We had a theme every single day. Dress like your teacher Monday, TikTok Tuesday, workout Wednesday. Thursday was, I can't remember what Thursday was, throwback, and we put pictures up of the, you know, kids when they were in kindergarten and second grade and third grade, and they're now 8th graders, right?
Oh, wow.
And then Friday is karaoke Friday. And people were like, looking like, well, that's not, you know, education. And I'm like, this is engagement. This is engagement. We got to track on all of our babies, right? Mm-hmm. And so we started that way. So what I would say is, yo, get to them however you know how to get to them. Get engaged with them. I had kids that were like Snapchatting me. And I don't even use Snapchat, but I have one just because I know kids do. And then the little girl Snapchatted me, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not even going to respond, right? And I responded to her on a more kosher platform, right? But I was just excited that she was reaching out, right? Yeah. She's in 3rd grade and she's reached 2nd grade and she's reaching out. So engage with your kids however you can engage with them. We did Spirit Weeks. We did prizes for kids. We sent them, you know, you can still send Amazon gift cards through the internet, right? We ordered pizzas and had pizzas delivered to kids' houses.
Guys, take notes. That's a right? thing. Who doesn't want a pizza delivered to their house?
Who doesn't want a pizza? The whole family was hyped, right? They were like, yo, pizza.
That's good.
You know, but they won the different, you know, they won the different competitions, and people were like, oh yeah, you know, but it was only 15 kids in there. So what? 15 turned to 30, 30 turned to 60, 60 turned to 120. Like, we're building. And really, when you think about this, guess what? September is not that far away.
That's right.
I was working with my leadership team last week, and we were thinking about all the things that we usually do in April to get ready for the next school year. And we were like, oh my God, what's the next school year going to look like? Is it going to be virtual? We don't know. You know, New York Teachers Union, they're already talking about what fall virtual looks like.
Yep. A lot of districts are talking about it.
They're talking about it. So we engage that way. And we, you know, a couple of parents also, you know, got in the bandwagon, and you want to talk to your stakeholders, right? And ask them, what do they want? We talked to parents. We were like, look, what will be helpful right now?
So
stop acting like we know all the answers.
Speaking of parents, someone here is asking, how can we leverage the increased parent engagement after the coronavirus? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah. So number one, do leverage it. Leverage this moment.
Absolutely.
Right? Take notice of this moment. And I think the number one answer on the board is how you leverage it, is that you reward it, right? You have to reward what you care about. So the families who are, you know, super engaged right now, the school leaders, the teachers, the message should always be thank you.
Highlight them on a newsletter, celebrate them, free gift cards to their family.
Them. They're going to feel so good, because guess what? A lot of our teachers and leaders in the building have their own kids, right? So every parent knows what this is feeling like right now. It's not feeling great. Like, I'm looking at my daughter who's in kindergarten, and she's logging in, and I can't find the password. And, you know, my wife and I, we're like, you know, we think we're educated people, and we're struggling, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, how are we doing this? You know, and like, she's like, well, I got to call at this time, and I have work at this time. And we're like, well, who's going to be with the kid? You know, so like, we're trying to figure it out. And then you got to slow down and just be like, you know what? It's okay. Because you know what we're doing? We're figuring it out.
That's right.
So take the time to figure it out, but reward those parents. Shout them out. Give them a call. Give them a text. I just talked to a parent, you know, this afternoon, and she was just like, I'm just so appreciative that you called.
Wow.
You know,
That goes
she just
such
wanted
a long way.
the
A phone
call. It
call?
goes so far. Put them on your dojo, put them on your Instagram. We're celebrating every birthday, so we know the birthdays of every kid. So every time there's a birthday, guess what? Their face is up on Instagram. Their face is up on our dojo, and they're being celebrated. If you celebrate them, they're going to come, right? Got to give the people what the people want, right? Like, give them what they want. Who doesn't like to celebrate their birthday?
Kai, here's another question. How do you talk, and then we're going to start wrapping up. How do you talk to your leadership team about not overwhelming their staff? So this is about managing up.
So two things I'll say here. Number one, we're in a crisis. We are in a crisis. We are not cyber school educators. None of us signed up to be a cyber school educator, right? So you have to realize and say to your staff and say to your community, we didn't plan for this over 18 months, right? We didn't sit back and say, okay, how are we going to take our children online? And let's build the resources and platforms so that they can go online. We had a crisis in our country and on our globe where we had to act under crisis leadership and make something happen, right? And so in that spirit, you have to tell people to take a deep breath and understand that we have to simplify this message and what's coming out from our school. We want to engage with the kids. We want to simplify what we're asking people to deliver on so that you're not getting overwhelmed. Use the language, use the words, be very direct, and ask them, how are you doing? And our staff, we have staff meetings twice a week. At 11:30, we all log into Zoom. I know everybody's doing it now. And the first 15 to 20 minutes, all we're doing is saying, how are you doing? And letting people share out, share. Use the language. Ask them how they're doing. Give them a outlet, right? To say, today's not a good day. It's not working. Like today, the internet dropped or the computer broke. I can't do this today.
Without judgment.
Without judgment.
Right?
Without judgment.
Yes.
You can log on to
because some people will
right
ask, now. And then they're judging you, and
then exactly,
and it affects the culture.
I sat here and I've watched professionals on CNN and from the White House and from every other place that we consider, high and mighty, struggle with technology. Saturday Night Live was one of the most boring Saturday Night Lives I've ever seen in my life a couple of weeks ago, because they were like fiddling around with this technology. This is not normal for us. This is not something that we have, become accustomed to. So you have to give people the room and the space to absorb it and to just be, again, going back to my motivational music, like, how are you in this space? And if this space makes you feel uncomfortable, let's talk about it. Let's dialogue about that. I have teachers who were excellent teachers, right? Knocking it out the park in the classroom, who are struggling with technology. And other teachers who were not necessarily, the exceeds expectation teacher, who are exceeding expectations on the internet.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to allow people space to be who they are. And if you're not comfortable with who you are, going back to Common and his mother, Common wrote a book called The Mirror and Me. And my Kipsters know about this from back in the day at KIPP AMP. The Mirror and Me, we had a mural on the wall of two faces looking at each other. And the message from the book is, if you don't know who you are, and if you're not comfortable with that reflection in the mirror, you can forget about everything else.
Right.
You can forget about it. So right now, we have to be able, as leaders, we have to be able to say, I don't know all the answers. I don't know how we're going to do grading. I don't know how we're going to do evaluations. I don't know how we're going to do summer school. I don't know what school's going to look like in the fall. I don't know. But I have the faith, right, that we're going to work it out as we go along, as if we work together. That's what we have to be communicating to our people, so that they're willing, that they want to follow us, right, and be led by us.
Right. And that also just goes a long way in terms of trust. And right now is like our staff, our people, they need to be able to know that everything is going to be okay, even if we don't have the answers. And the way we do that, I think it was Principal Ross said this last week, we show up authentically.
You got to show up authentically.
Hey, I don't have the answer to that. I know we're going to figure it out. Here's what I do know. Stand for what you believe in, right? What I do believe in is that people matter and people come first. So we're going to make sure that our relationships are where they need to be. We need to check in, engage, all those things. Kai,
if you get that right,
yeah, man, that's
we'll
right.
Be good. I mean, think about your business, right? Like 2 months ago, you weren't thinking of your business being on Instagram Live, like, you know, but you adapt, you lean on your network that you trust and love, and they lean back on you, and look what you made happen. Bam.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. You know, I've learned so much from the different people who have come on through the Instagram Live. So I'm so appreciative of you bringing me on this week.
You're very welcome, Kai. It's my pleasure. Thank you for blessing us with your knowledge, your expertise, your story, your experience. Sounds like you all are doing some pretty amazing things to take care of your people first. I know you dropped a lot of gems that all of us can walk away with. There's a lot of great quotes in here as well from a whole bunch of mentors. So we'll definitely, this will be up on YouTube within the next 48 hours or so. So we'll make sure we send it your way. All right, Kai. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We love you. Be blessed. Have a good night and take care of yourself first.
Nice.
I'm learning how to take my own advice.
Go for a run. It's not too late.
No, I already did. I ran for a run right before this.
Oh, that's right. You already ran.
I didn't run as much as you did, but I ran.
Where's Mills? Is Mills on here? Because Mills been slacking. Mills been slacking.
I don't know. I don't even look at you guys and see what kind of runs you're doing. I just do my own.
The beauty of running and like leading also is all relative, right? You do what you can.
That's right.
You do what you can, right? So everybody do what you can. Take care of your people. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Kai. You're the bomb.com. All right. Good night, everyone. Blessings.
Peace.
All right.